I would let unopened mail pile and pile and pile. I would hide it all from my husband.
Janel, you can raise kids and support a high-profile husband, but your kryptonite is a bunch of unopened envelopes.
There was a check for thousands of dollars waiting for me, and it still took several days to open the mailbox.
These questions came from ADHD specialists. If you think you might have ADHD, here's your results.
Ooh.
Very few people actually truly understand what being neurodivergent really means. These are the things that we're going to discuss to help you get answers that you're looking for.
Janel,
Yes.
you can raise kids, you can love on grandbabies, and support a high-profile husband that everybody knows, but your kryptonite is a bunch of unopened envelopes. Just like sit with that for a minute. Tell me a little bit about that.
I would, at one time in my life, that is true, I would let unopened mail pile and pile and pile. And I would tell myself, I know exactly what's already in these envelopes. I don't need to open them. And I would hide them from my husband. I would strategically place them in places where he wouldn't see. I can't really say.
A whole other episode could be what he did when he found them.
Yell, a lot of yelling, a lot of frustration. And I knew that there was nothing in there that was going to harm me. What was I afraid of in these envelopes? What was I afraid of to just open my mailbox? I would know. At one time, I remember thinking when I thought I've hit rock bottom, I knew there was a check for thousands of dollars in the mailbox waiting for me. And it still took me several days before I was able to build up the courage and the ability to open the mailbox. Like that was one of my turning points. Like, okay, this is not normal behavior.
Especially if there's money waiting for you.
Yeah, there's literally money in there. And I'm like, ooh, I'll probably leave again later today. And when I come back from that errand, I'll get the mail. And then I would come back and be, oh, I'm just really in a hurry. I need to use the bathroom, or I'm really thirsty. I want to get into my kitchen and fill up my drink or something. And I would just make an excuse, something really stupid that made no sense, that I could not check my mail. And that would go on for days. I would do that for days. I don't know.
Well, I don't know what it says about me that I totally get this.
I would need to pay bills, and I would have money in the bank. The money was there for the bills, set aside, ready to go, nothing surprising. And I'm a day from my power getting shut off, or my power getting shut off, and no bill was paid. What was the reason? And that was really a turning point. Like, okay, I really need to buckle down and figure out what is going on in my brain. Because I am a non-functioning person at this point. I am not adulting. I am not being responsible. Yeah, I can pick up my kids from school every day. I can do my laundry. I can do all these things, but I can't check my bank balance.
This is a good segue into meet Janel Lamb, everyone.
in all my glory, in all my dysfunctional ways. But I'm happy to say now that those are stories of my past. And I have found tools and tricks and basically ways to get around it for myself.
Well, and that's what I want to talk to you about here today. So just a real quick introduction about who you are, other than my favorite person.
Yes,
this is actually my very best friend that I get to introduce today.
Thank you.
But even if you weren't my best friend, I would still want to interview you because you do have a really unique story. And we're just going to touch on a little bit of it today, but just let everyone know who you are. Okay.
Well, I'm an author and a public speaker. I'm a mother of 5, grandmother of soon-to-be 7 grandchildren, which that, like you said, is my favorite thing. Been married for almost 31 years to my husband, Sheriff Mark Lamb, former retired Sheriff Mark Lamb. We've built an amazing life. We're doing all the things we want to do. Probably 27 years were really hard, and we just kept grinding, kept building, kept worked through these issues, and we're finally seeing the benefit of all of that hard work, and we're loving it.
Really the all-American family. Everything attached to you guys, and especially Mark, is just America and freedom. But really, when you think about it, like, your family is kind of that dream picture of like what the American dream can be, the struggle, overcoming, finding success, always continuing to work on yourself. So one of my favorite things about being with Mark and Janel, my husband and I will spend a lot of time with them, is it doesn't matter where we are. If we're in Hawaii or we're just sitting around your pool, we're talking shop, and we're talking business, and we're talking about how we can be better at who we are. And it's just so uplifting to have friends like that in your life that are constantly trying to be the best version of themselves. So, okay, today we're talking about ADHD. I would love for you to explain to the audience, because you are self-diagnosed with ADHD.
Yes.
So why do you think, or why have you thought in the past that you have ADHD?
Well, kind of like what I was talking about before, where there was aspects of my life that just didn't make sense to me. They shouldn't have been happening this way. Why am I paralyzed when it comes to checking my bank balance? Or why am I paralyzed when it comes to checking my mail or opening my mail or sorting my mail? Like, why am I just making every excuse? Another sticking point, my husband would say, hey, can you call and pay the car payments today? Yeah, sure. And it's almost like he would know and I would know that there's no way that's happening.
So he was just starting a fight from my perspective.
Right. Well, and that was my perspective too. I'm like, okay, if this is important to you, then you should do it. But
which actually you're not wrong about that. But that's
why are you asking me to do it when you know I'm not going to do it? It was kind of one of those things. But it's like I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I absolutely have the time to do it. Why am I not doing it? I have the ability to do it. I have the means to do it. Why am I not doing it? And those kind of things weren't making sense to me. And so I started kind of looking into it, looking around online, seeing different things. I saw a lot of my dad in what I was finding. I have an ability to hyperfocus. I did not know that was an aspect of ADHD, and that was a lot of my problem. If I would hyper-focus on something other than what I was supposed to be doing, whether that be, all of a sudden I need to organize every closet in my house and do all of my dishes. Oh, and while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and clean out this cupboard, and I'm going to wipe this refrigerator down. Oh, you know what? I should actually clean the inside of it. So I would get going, and I was on that kind
There's
of that
lots of
classic,
memes on the internet about this.
that classic path that we kind of laugh at a lot about how we'll do everything but the one thing that needs to be done.
Right.
And so a lot of stalling tactics, a lot of just procrastination. And so I started looking at procrastination. And then once I was diving into that, I realized everything was pointing to a symptom of that being ADHD, and that I was coping in other ways to distract my brain from doing the important things. I was seeing my dad hyperfocus. I could see myself hyperfocusing. And I know people can relate with this that are probably listening. Like if you get going on something, say you've put off cleaning your kid's playroom. It's been a dumping zone for 4 months, and your kids aren't even playing in there anymore because there's no rhyme or reason to anything. It's just a jumble. It's a junk heap. There's trash in there. It's whatever. Kind of life with small kids kind of thing. My kids are all were under 6, 5 kids under 6.5. So we had a lot of jumbly playroom time, decades of that actually.
Right.
And so I would put it off and put it off and put it off. Say, for example, I would start to clean the playroom, and someone would come to my door, or some other task would happen, or the dog would get out and I would have to go chase the dog. Just something would happen to take me off that trajectory of cleaning my playroom. There was a good chance I wouldn't get back to it for another 4 months. Like once I was off the path, I could not get myself back on. Or say I was in the middle of paying bills. I finally was like, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to do this, get my computer open. I get going back in the day when there was like online bill pay type of stuff, and I would get going on that and something would happen, or I'd have to go pick up the kids from school, or I would be taken off my path. I couldn't get back on because I had this hyper-focus problem. So then that would cause me to say, well, if I can't get it finished, I'm not going to start. I know I don't have time to do this, so I'm just not going to get going.
So what would you say to someone who is listening to this, the non-believers, and they say, oh, well, that's just being lazy. Nobody wants to do things they don't want to do.
Right.
It sounds like you're just a busy mom and you just didn't take care of things because you didn't feel like it.
Have you ever wondered if you have ADHD? Well, in some parts of the world, getting a diagnosis can take years. And let's be honest, most people in the US are pretty impatient about getting a diagnosis as well. So I created a short, research-based quiz to help you get clarity fast. Take it now for free at jherisouth.com or use the direct link in the description. Now, let's get back to the show.
So I think a lot of what helped me was really getting real with the amount of time that things take to do. I had to start timing myself. I realized that actually emptying my dishwasher took me about 3 minutes and 47 seconds on average. It really doesn't take very long to do those things. So I started realizing, oh, I have 10 minutes. And if I know for a fact, because I've timed myself, that taking all the dishes out of the dishwasher it takes less than 5 minutes, maybe I do actually have time to do it. So it's sort of like when you're dieting and you think, oh, I haven't eaten very much today, but then you start writing it down and then you realize, actually, I'm 1,700 calories over what I thought I was eating. Kind of the same thing, moment. Right? It's horrible to find that out. But when you translate that over to your time management and you realize these tasks that I have built up in my mind that's going to be such a big deal and take so long, I realized actually don't take that long at all. And once you really get serious, hard numbers and perspective on things, you start to realize you do have time to do those things. And maybe, how long is it going to take me to clean up this playroom? It might only take me actually an hour and a half. And then you do it and it only took you an hour and a half and you've been putting it off for 4 months. Those kind of realizations really were what changed my perspective on what I needed to do, what it was actually going to take to get those things done. And then to actually celebrate and pat myself on the back when those things got done. Like, look what I did. I actually got this done. And be okay with being happy with myself for doing that.
Well, it's a really good point that you're making, because when I'm working with clients who do get really overwhelmed either with the work that's in front of them or doing things around the house, that is something that we will do. We will break up whatever's in front of them, because also, many people, it doesn't matter if they've cleaned their bathroom 100 times before. When it's time to clean the bathroom, their brain still tells them this is going to take forever. So breaking it up into pieces, 4 or 5, different segments, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to do that thing, helps the brain identify how much time it's actually going to take. So there's a word I like to use, procrastivity. And it's the word that we might use to describe staying busy all day, doing lots of things, but avoiding the one thing that really needs to get done.
Classic
like
me.
Taxes or opening the mail, maybe. And what we have learned about ADHDers is, for one thing, we want to be up using our body. So if we can touch things and feel things, or we're walking around, we're going to prefer something like that all day over sitting in front of a computer and just researching things or typing things up. But also, we want the for sure thing. So even today, we're in Arizona. So I do not want to mow the lawn. I don't want to do that. But if I had 2 things in front of me and it was, I can go out and mow the lawn and I know it's only going to take an hour or less, or I can sit down in front of my computer and start working on tax paperwork, I will mow the lawn, because mowing the lawn means I can be up, I can be walking, I can have music blasting in my ears, and at least I'm doing something that's a little bit more enjoyable. But it's a for sure thing. So I know what's involved and I know when I'm going to be done. Where if I sit down at my computer and I start working on taxes, it could take me 5 hours. So it's the overwhelm of not knowing. And this is also why it's so important, ADHD children, when their parents say, oh yeah, you're almost done. Okay, probably just Saturday chores, right? Like that's the worst thing. Probably going to be done soon. Like we'll see. Yeah, just probably a couple more things. It just kills them because they just want to know. Even if it's bad news, I just want to know what's involved, when am I going to be done, and if at all I can get up and use my body and use more of my senses or touch and feel things, I'm going to choose that all day long. But I'm highlighting that because these are things I teach a lot in coaching, and it sounds like you figured that out on your own.
Yeah, it took me several years, probably 3 to 4 years of kind of developing a new pattern, almost having to rewire my brain to cheerlead myself and say, get up and do this. It's not going to take as long as you think. And another tip I read about for this was get excited about how it's going to feel when you finish. Think forward. How good am I going to feel when I walk into my kitchen and it's all clean? Versus how I feel right now when I have dishes from last night.
And you do like a clean kitchen.
You will
Marco Polo me usually and say, guess what, my kitchen's clean.
Yeah. And that's something that's kind of a celebration for me.
Yeah.
Like I think everyone kind of has their own little thing that makes them kind of feel good about their day and like, I'm doing a good job today. And having a clean kitchen is kind of one of those things. Like if my kitchen's clean, I can handle a lot more than if my kitchen's not.
Yeah.
So everyone has to kind of figure out what that is for themselves. Maybe it's your bed made, or maybe it's, your laundry is almost done or
Getting up
whatever it
early.
is. Yeah. Getting up early. Like, oh, if I got up early today, I'm going to win this day.
Yes.
Mine is if my kitchen's clean, I'm going to win this day.
I love that. And it's so true that this is the one thing about ADHD is we read books and we listen to everybody, and usually we'll just try what somebody else told us to try. And many times that works great, but we still have to develop our own owner's manual. I'm always talking about that. So something that works for you might be different than what works for me, but it's still the same idea. So there's a lot of creativity, I think, that we want to put into managing ourselves. The same way if we were experimenting with medication, the right dose, trying different things, it's the same thing with managing your brain. Taking these concepts and then making them more personalized for you, like cleaning your kitchen.
Well, and I have to say, I really want to interject too about the fact that right now I'm pretty much an empty nester. So my life today and what my time commitments are right now is a lot different than they were 15 years ago. So it was a lot harder to clean a kitchen when you have children that you have to make meals for, children that you have to clean up for because they literally cannot clean up. A baby cannot clean its own high chair. You know, there were certain demands on my time and my bandwidth and my resources that I don't have now. And I think that we all need to be a little bit more gentle and kind to ourselves because just when you have kids at home and you have ADHD,
they probably have ADHD.
And they may and it's very difficult. It's almost like you have to just say, you know what, one of these days these kids aren't going to be here all day, every day, and I'll get to, it makes the processes a lot easier when you don't have people undoing what you're doing all day. The little progress you can make is getting undone. And that's very frustrating and it's very disheartening and it makes you feel like you're failing. And I don't think that's true, but it's like we kind of tell ourselves that and that's because that's how it feels.
Well, unrealistic expectations.
Unrealistic expectations. I had a lot harder time having a clean kitchen 15 years ago when I had people eating in there all the time. So
and learning to just
something
be
to
okay
take
with
into
that.
consideration. Be kind to yourself. Like there's people literally undermining everything you're doing all day long. If your love language is a clean kitchen and you have 5 kids, you may not feel very loved.
Go find a different love language. That's what she's saying.
Just think about it though. Someday there won't be people there undoing your kitchen day long.
There's hope.
Yeah,
there's something to look forward to.
Yes.
I love that. Okay, so we are going to do something fun here in just a minute. I am going to give you a real ADHD evaluation, and we're going to see if you still think that you're ADHD.
Okay.
But real quickly before I do, I want to know, so younger you is now discovering that you have ADHD. What's happening? What are your thoughts and feelings about this? Is it negative, positive?
I'm not a big person with labels, but it actually, I think it does help when you can say, okay, I told myself, maybe I'm not really a disastrous, dysfunctional person. Because that's how you start to think. You're like, there's something wrong with me. I'm not a good person. I'm not a good mom because I can't do the things I want to do. Or I'm not a good wife because I can't, pay a bill when I'm asked or whatever. I started realizing that I'm going to have to find another workaround. Maybe my brain does function a little bit differently. I'm going to have to find a way to be successful in life. I'm not just going to lay down and be like, oh, I have ADHD. I guess I can't do any of this. No, that's not true. I can do it. I just need to do it differently than I've been doing it. Because the way I've been doing is not working, so let's find some new processes.
So motivating or discouraging, you think?
I think it was actually more motivating. I think it helped me to know, okay, there's a way to do this. I just need to find a different way.
That's what I hear most often.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, the conclusion typically is I'm broken. There's something wrong with me because so many people don't like labels. And I understand why. We don't want to use them as a crutch. We don't want our mindset to be, I'm stuck this way. But the majority of individuals who are neurodivergent actually find a lot of relief in having some kind of a label because now the next question is, well, what do I want to do about it? What can I do about it? Instead of believing this is my identity, this is my personality, it's just the way I was born, I'm broken. So that's why, I'm kind of on the fence about labels. On the one hand, don't love them for the reasons I mentioned, but also think that they are quite necessary, especially when we're talking about people who have gone through difficult times or even just teenagers in general, giving them some understanding, like a name for what they're experiencing. But then now we know, now let's shelf the label and get to work on ourselves.
I feel like it's a little bit like, say you had to have one of your legs amputated. You don't have both your legs now. You are short a leg. Does that mean you can't do everything you want to do? For some people, it's going to work better for them to go get a prosthetic leg. For other people, they're going to be just fine on crutches and hopping around. Like they would rather just do that. They don't want to deal with the expense and the hassle of getting a leg fitted and it's not just that easy. You don't just get a new leg put on. Like it's a whole process to have once you're an amputee. And I feel like that's a little bit like ADHD. Like you can either make it work an extra leg or you can make it work without an extra leg, but you just got to figure out how you're going to make it work and then be cool with that.
Yeah, that's really good. That's a really good visual for everybody. I like that a lot. Okay, so I'm going to give you, now I didn't just make these questions up. These questions actually came from professional evaluations from some of the top ADHD specialists in the United States. So up front, I'm telling you, I'm not going to officially say yes or no, you have ADHD because I can't do that here, but you'll know. I want you to answer yes only if the particular trait that I'm asking you about or the behavior has consistently impaired your functioning. You got that? That's like ADHD. Consistently impaired your functioning for as long as you can remember. Janel, and the rest of the audience, if you want to take this too, have you had, for as long as you can remember, trouble paying attention to details or made careless errors in your work?
No.
Have you always daydreamed or not listened when people speak to you directly?
No.
Have you consistently had difficulties finishing projects that you started?
Yes.
Do you have difficulties in organizing your work or become disorganized if not strictly following a plan or a list?
Yes.
Do you procrastinate or put off undesirable tasks until the last possible moment?
Heavy yes on that.
Heavy yes. By the way, if you want to interrupt me at any point and tell a story, you are welcome to. Okay. Have you always had a tendency to lose things necessary to accomplish your activities? So wallet, keys,
Yes.
phone.
Yes. I'll say yes.
Glasses, Stanley Cup.
It used to be my keys. I was a habitual key loser. I'm better now, but like I said, I think that's more about my stage of life.
Right.
But
So
yes.
unmanaged you. Right?
Unmanaged
like your
me,
tendencies.
yes.
Okay. Have you always been easily distracted by unimportant sounds or events around you?
No.
Have you always been forgetful, like names or assignments, things that are due, even?
Yes. If
Appointments.
I don't write it down, I will forget.
Do you forget even if you do write it down?
Well, no, because now what I do, I have a notebook. And I have one notebook that I keep with me. And there'll be a time when I'm having like racing thoughts, like I'm getting ready, I'm putting on my makeup, I'm doing my hair, and I think, oh, I needed to call this lady back. Oh, I needed to send that email. Oh, I got to answer this thing for my life insurance. Like I'll start getting all these very random things, but I keep my notebook nearby and then I just write everything down. And then it almost solidifies it in my brain, and then I actually won't forget later. But if I don't write it down, it might get dropped. It might get dropped.
So like pre-notebook Janel.
Pre-notebook me, yes. Forgetful,
Okay.
for sure. Yes.
Because this would be the evaluation you'd usually be taking before there's any kind of real treatment or
Right.
processes.
Yes.
So, okay.
Yes, forgetful.
So have you always had difficulties sitting still or fidgeted excessively?
Yes. I'm fidgeting right now. So I say yes because I'm moving my chair and I probably shouldn't be.
I do too.
And
I almost brought a fidget toy with me, and then I thought, well, that might be distracting. So have you always had difficulties staying seated? Class, movies, church, service?
No.
For as long as you can remember, have you always been restless?
Yes.
Have you always had significant difficulty relaxing or slowing down to do leisure activities quietly?
No, because when I'm on vacation, I'm on vacation. If it's time for leisure, just lay me on a pool lounge and I won't move. We've done that.
Yes.
I think
I think you're pretty good at that.
I think we were at the pool for our birthdays. I think
Yes.
like 4 hours. We didn't move.
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we had our food ordered over to our
We
lounges.
picked up our donuts before we went.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Okay. Have you always been described as high energy or always on the go?
Yes.
Okay. Do you talk excessively and or often lose track of what you're saying in conversations?
It depends on who I'm talking to. I'll say yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
For your entire life, have you had a pattern of blurting out the answer before the question has been completed?
No.
Okay. So a lot of those first questions, just so you know, were more like the hyperactive parts of ADHD. So even if you don't answer, anyone who's doing this, even if you don't answer yes to a lot of those questions, it still doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have ADHD. So fun fact, 2/3 of all ADHDers do not relate with being hyperactive. They relate with having hyperarousal, which is racing thoughts and overthinking things, maybe trouble sleeping, but not hyperactive. Okay, so continuing on. Have you always been impatient? This is me, like if I could double click this, or difficulty waiting your turn, grocery store, driving?
Yes. I always seem to pick the slowest checkout lane.
Yes.
And it frustrates me.
Me too. And I think I've been doing this for 47 years. Why can't I pick a better line?
Yeah. It doesn't matter. If I'm going in, there's 2 lines. One is going faster than the other. I get in the faster line and mine comes to a screeching halt for whatever reason. And the other line starts going faster.
Okay, it's funny that you
so
say that
frustrating.
because like if I'm at a theme park, like if I take my kids to Disneyland and I get in the wrong line, it is excruciating. Like I'm about to go talk to the guy that's up there and tell him that he's not doing it right. It's so hard.
Yeah.
So that's really a trigger for me. Okay, do you frequently interrupt or intrude on others? So for instance, do you butt into other people's conversations or their games?
Yes, I do.
But it's because they want you there, right? It's because they want you there. Duh.
No, I do. I find myself sometimes feeling bad because I'll catch myself interrupting and I think, oh, that's so rude. Let them finish their thing.
But after I say what I want to say real quick.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I already know what you're going to say. Yes, yes, yes. You know, yes, I do feel bad after looking back on conversations because I'll reevaluate whatever conversation I just had and I think, oh, I was so rude, I interrupted.
But this is why ADHDers work so well together. They make such good friends because we don't worry about that. When you're with your friend, you're not thinking, oh, I wish I wouldn't have interrupted her. You're interrupting
but isn't
the whole
it
time.
a problem though? Because we never quite get through any one topic.
Well, that's why we like to do pool days because if we have 4 or 5 hours, we do. It just takes the whole time.
It takes the whole
like we'll
time.
circle back. We do that, right?
Yeah.
It'll be like 2 hours later. Oh, remember earlier when I was telling you? I forgot to finish that story.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Have you always been very sensitive, more sensitive than others, to rejection, teasing, criticism, or your own perception that you have failed or fallen short? And one way to gauge this is you might realize that your reaction, even if it's internal, was maybe a little bit bigger than the situation warranted.
As a child, yes. You know, you don't get teased as much as an adult. You know, it just doesn't really happen as much unless you're in one of those kind of families. It just depends on
I think
your
it would be an adult. It
but-
would be maybe somebody making a comment or feeling like you weren't chosen for something, or maybe somebody doesn't like you as much as you thought they did.
Yeah, well, I just remember, like, this was probably 9 or 10 years ago. Somebody made a comment of how they were surprised I wasn't late. And I really took offense to that. And I think, why would I? It still bothers me that someone just assumed I would be late and I wasn't, and they made a comment about it. And yeah, I was highly offended by that. So I would say yes.
Yes. Which, by the way, if someone
Oversensitive.
says, I'm surprised you weren't late, I'm like, that's right. Where's the donuts? That's so funny. It's so funny, the different triggers that we all have. Okay, so have you always had a hot temper for which you have no warning? That is definitely not you. Do you kind of have this like stand-up comedic tendency, like a wacky sense of humor?
No.
Okay. Do you find that you fall asleep when you sit still? Should I just answer this for you? Or suddenly get drowsy when boring tasks are prolonged?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, you're doing pretty good here. If you're like trying to pass the ADHD test, you're doing pretty good. For as long as you remember, have you had a great deal of difficulty waking up and being fully alert in the mornings?
No.
Oh.
I like to wake up. Once I wake up, I'm up. Now I'll hit a wall at 10 a.m. But
Do you think
I
Mark
do
did that
wake
to
up.
you, or do you think that was natural?
I think it's my age. I think I'm waking up earlier.
But like
and earlier.
you're looking back in your whole life, were you always pretty alert in the morning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you been told that you move about excessively during your sleep?
Yes, I have been told that.
Okay.
And I was shocked to hear that. I shared a bed with my mom when we were in Salt Lake. And she was like, you were all over the place. I'm like, really? Shocking.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I sleep like a dead person, but apparently I don't.
I don't know if I believe you. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
I
don't
know.
if
I'm
that's
like,
true. I
prove
don't
it.
accept that answer. Have you consistently had trouble turning off your mind so that you could fall asleep?
Yes, which is why I take a Costco sleeping pill every night. And then I don't.
Will you often drugs, you guys? She's promoting drugs.
Over the counter Drugs. Yes.
Will you often hyperfocus? We already know this.
Yes.
Having periods of activity during which you are so engrossed or involved in what you're doing that you're undistractable by people or events around you and lose track of the passage of yes. Okay, so if I recorded this correctly, just in case I wrote it down, I think you got 16 yeses. And I think there's only like
17 possible yeses.
Yeah, there's like 20. So here's your results, okay? These are real results.
Oh, man.
High likelihood of ADHD. By the way, that's the highest tier that I give you here. Based on your answers, it's highly likely that ADHD is impacting your life, especially in ways that doctors or screeners may often overlook. Lots of masking. Sometimes ADHD shows up as depression or anxiety or overwhelm for women. Oh, you're just busy. It's your stage of life. But this talks about seeing a doctor for an official diagnosis. And by the way, I just want you to know, you're not broken, you're not lazy or scattered, and you're not too much.
Good. That's
You're
good to know. Good to know.
So are you surprised by the results?
No.
You expected them, right?
Yes.
But we've never done that. You know what's so funny is I do this for a living, but when Janelle and I get together, it's not like we sit around and talk about ADHD.
Well, I don't want to make you work.
No, we
when
don't
we're
talk
having
about
fun
work.
time.
And I
Yeah.
think we just assume like we're either both ADHD or crazy and we're good with it.
I already knew.
Yes. Yeah. But you know, sometimes you'll hear people say something like, having ADHD has really hurt me, or it's really impacted my life in a negative way. What do you think about that?
Well, I definitely think it has impacted my life in a negative way, which is why I was looking for answers, why I was searching the internet for, hey, these are the things I'm struggling with. What could this be? What's going on here, really? Because clearly I'm not doing what I feel like I should be doing. And so that was what led me to kind of the self-diagnosis. That's pretty much what I had. And then I could see how it was also describing my dad. And I know it is hereditary. And just as a side note, I did tell my dad 15 years ago, I said, Dad, I think you have ADHD. And he was highly offended.
He was.
He was highly offended. But he really does. I mean, he has a hyperfocus like none other.
What do you think he was offended by?
Just labeling him.
Yeah,
Because you
he
know the
doesn't want
old
the
school,
label.
the
Yes.
boomers, they don't want to be labeled. They don't believe in therapy. They don't,
My
it's a whole
mom
thing.
sends me clients, and I work with my brother and some of my other family members, and she still says ADHD isn't real. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
just the label.
exactly.
I think because once she learned that it ran in families, I think that's when she's like, no, it's not real.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, we don't want to. We don't want
The boomers aren't on
We don't
board
talk
with
about
what
that.
we-
That's right. That's right. Okay, so when you heard those questions out loud, what resonated with you the most? What section of questioning?
I just, overall, I feel like I do mask. I definitely do the masking. Like I'm not, so let me give you an example. So the fidgeting. I am a finger tapper, so it's very subtle, but I'm still tapping. You know what I do? And I've never actually told anybody this, so drum roll. When someone else is driving, I don't do it while I'm driving, but if I'm the passenger, you know how there's the center line and it's a broken center line, I will press down my toes on the center line as we're driving through it.
Oh.
I don't know why I do it, but it's soothing to me. And so inside my shoes, I'm just pressing down my toes on that center line, like that kind of stuff. So am I fidgeting? Yes, I'm fidgeting, but it's a very subtle, like some of my kids, they'll do the knee bounce. Like we'll be sitting in church and everything's quiet and they're knee bouncing and I'll stop. I'm like, don't do that. It's annoying.
It's funny how
stop
like,
bouncing.
We're
It's like bouncing
fidgety,
me.
but it's annoying when other people do it. I know.
But I have a much more subtle way of fidgeting where I'm.
So if you're willing to share the ADHD trait that you still wrestle with most today.
Still procrastination. I mean, I still have to talk myself through it. I still have to tell myself, hey, you're doing that. You need to stop. Your playful monkey is trying to just play, and you have no. I listened to this podcast or a TED talk about it, procrastination, and putting a visual to it where you're just, hey, you're distracting yourself. You need to stop. What's really going on here? What are you actually avoiding? And I'll say, well, I'm avoiding that I need to open this mail. How long is that going to actually take you? It's going to take me about a minute and a half to actually open these 4 pieces of mail that I already know what they are. They're a credit card statement and a bill from SRP that I don't have to pay because it's on auto pay. That was really it, putting everything on auto pay. But I still need to look at it because I need to see what's going on. You just basically cheerleading myself through it and just saying, okay, it's going to take you a minute and a half. You need to do it. You're going to think about how much better you're going to feel when you get that done.
But that's so healthy because you're really managing your thoughts and changing your thoughts.
Yes.
I mean, that's how we learn to, transform to the better version of ourselves is just by managing what our brain is, I think, habitually saying to us all of the time.
Like right now, I have about 17, maybe 15 pieces of mail that need to be filed. The files are there. It'll take me probably less than 10 minutes to do it because my files are organized. And so I feel really good about that because in the past, I've had literal boxes of mail, 7, 8 months worth, a year's worth of mail. Like I'll think I'm going to sit down and I'm going to make these files. And I realize, ooh, the last files I made were in 2022. It's 2024. I guess I should get rid of 2023.
That was a 2-year lie.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough, but
Yeah.
my files are updated. It's going to be fine. I'm good to go now.
So many people are able to turn their struggles into strengths. Do you feel like that's been true for you?
Yes, definitely. I thrive on that now. And it gives me my dopamine rush now is, hey, look what I did. That gives me a dopamine hit.
Like, let's see what else I can do.
Yes, and that's part of what I tell myself when I'm like, hey, when I walk these out to my office and put it on my very small stack of things, look at me. Look how far I've come. Woo. And I get a little hit.
Yeah,
It's good.
that is good. It feels great to see how far we've come. And especially with ADHD, I think sometimes the other struggle can be that maybe other people wouldn't appreciate as much the struggle that we've overcome because on the outside looking in, it might not be that big of a deal. But I don't think it's about the circumstance. I think it's about the discipline and the control we have over our brain. So it doesn't matter if it's opening mail or it's, getting out in front of a large audience or risking and starting a new business. When we have control and discipline over our brain to do things that we weren't doing before, it's a win.
And one thing I learned in therapy was, for me specifically, and everyone's thing is going to be different, but for me, when I'm starting to feel a little depressed, I'm starting to feel like things aren't working, I'm starting to feel down on myself, I need to do something creative. For example, the thing that my therapist had me do was I had been collecting plates to put up on a wall. I had this idea that I wanted this plate wall, and it was going to be so pretty, and I had collected all of this, and she said, your prescription for the week is to go home and make that plate wall. You need to make the plate wall happen, put them on the wall, arrange them how you want. And I did that, and it just immediately pulled me out of a funk. And I'm like, okay, that's my thing. If I'm feeling down or I'm starting to feel in a weird, goofy, funky feeling, if I go do something creative, whether it's, clean something or organize something or decorate something or color something, do something that connects my right and left brain together.
Yeah.
And all is back right with the world.
Yeah. And also just proving to yourself that you can do it.
Yeah.
That you make a goal and then you accomplish it. That's big with ADHDers. I think people who don't have ADHD don't understand what a big deal that is to see it all the way through, because at some point the dopamine runs out and it's not novelty anymore. And so to be able to get your brain to stay engaged when dopamine and novelty is the gasoline, right? For an engine, that's what dopamine is for our brain. We have to have it to finish something. So when the dopamine runs out and we learn to discipline ourselves to still finish, that's a big deal.
Sometimes like my to-do list on my notebook, the 7 things I have for today, just to see all of them crossed off, I'll go back and look at it like multiple times in a day to see all of the things crossed off. And that feels great. Or if I have a different kind of day, like I just need to do something, I'll put something different on my kitchen table, like a different floral arrangement or a different jar or something. Just changing it up. I'm a furniture rearranger. I love to rearrange my furniture. That gives me a big dopamine hit.
Yes.
So it's just like everyone just finding out what their thing is. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I will find myself rearranging furniture when I really just need to be paying a car payment. But that's just part of the journey. As long as I get to it, I give myself a deadline. By 1:30, I have got to get this done. And then I also am a big believer in the theory, it's pretty popular, called Eat the Frog. If you've got one terrible thing to do that you just don't want to do and 15 other things you can think of that you could get done, sometimes just eat the frog, get the hard thing done first. Oh, That took me 27 seconds. And now I have my whole day where my mind is free and I feel good and I can go rearrange my furniture or do whatever. It's always a journey. And I don't feel like there's ever like an end. It's because tomorrow you're going to have something else you don't want to do. And guess what? Next week there's going to be something else you don't want to do.
Well, speaking of journey, if there's any women listening today that are thinking maybe they have ADHD, they haven't been officially diagnosed, what would you want to share with them today?
I would say really just start researching and start asking yourself the questions. What is it that I like to do? What makes me feel happy? Is it a flower arranging? Is it organizing something? Is it cleaning out your car? Whatever it is, let that be your thing. And at least figure out what your dopamine hits are and go from there. And then maybe that's your end goal for the day. Hey, if I can do these 3 terrible things, don't tell yourself, I got to do these 25 terrible things. Give yourself 1, 2, or 3. Keep it small. Keep it manageable. Because then you get back into the overwhelm cycle. So keep it very manageable, one bite at a time. There's some things that are going to get undone as fast as you do it. And there's other things that are going to be more of a permanent thing. Find out what that dopamine hit is for you and make that your goal for.
So dopamine and having grace for yourself also.
Yes.
So, okay, last question. And we're always dreaming at your house and we're working towards goals and I know that you and your husband and your family's always working on stepping into the next newest version of yourselves, right? And so, honest answer, do you feel that ADHD has been, now as you look back, is it a hindrance to your journey or is it a blessing?
I think now it's a blessing. Now I enjoy hyperfocus. I like it that I can put myself on a project and if I don't have to, if I don't have to stop, and I can really get things done. Like I can really accomplish a lot. I can be the type of person who will completely, clean my whole house top to bottom. Or I had to leave and I had about 40 minutes before I had to leave, but 2 of my bathrooms were disgusting. And I was like, I'm just going to get this done. And I was able to hyper focus on that and do it. And I love that for me. Like I love it that I can stay on a task. So it's not that I'm always bouncing around. Sometimes ADHD means you can hyper focus and use that to your advantage. So I love it. I think it's a superpower.
I love that you said that. Attention deficit is a really poor name for ADHDers because we're not deficit, we're inconsistent.
Yes.
What we can focus on. It's a really good point. Well, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you being willing to come here and just talk about your journey and officially, non-officially get diagnosed with ADHD. But we'll have to have you on again because we have so many stories that we could be sharing. I mean, that we didn't even get into today because we focused on ADHD, but there's some good stuff. And you have a really amazing story that I know that you're telling from the stage, in your keynotes. So, but thank you for being willing to come here today and talk about something that you don't normally talk about. You're not usually talking about your ADHD, right?
No, never.
Okay. Thanks, Janel. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jheri.